Things started for us today with this exciting event. This is the first signing we've had of the year. Hopefully it's one of many. So we have this opportunity to celebrate the career and then the next step as we move forward with Henry this morning. So I'd like to start us off. We'll start with a word of prayer, and then we'll move into some of his coaches that have had so much influence over his life and his career so far, and hear about them. So if you would join me with a word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for all the blessings that you've provided for us. Please be with us today as we celebrate. Be in this event as we see the many gifts that you give us all, but the gifts that you've provided Henry through this. We ask that this is a moment for us to reflect and then see the ways in which you have us all provide for in our lives. So we ask that you're with this event today, and that we celebrate his life, Henry's life, in the many ways that you blessed it. In Jesus' name, amen. So I think we have something going up in the booth that tells me what's coming next, or Mrs. Hathhorn, Henry's mom, will kind of help us with the coaches and the order we're going to go from there, because I think she knows who they are. So.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you all for coming. It's wonderful to see the support, and Henry, I hope you're excited. We're excited for you. We know you've worked really hard. You've had this dream for a long time, and you had this perseverance from a few setbacks, and you did a great job. I'm excited for you. You have all this wonderful support, so I know a lot of people want to be here and couldn't. And it's important when we celebrate you, I want you to be mindful of all the people that have helped support you to get to this level, because you certainly couldn't do it on your own. And so we're going to have some fun, hopefully surprise you a little bit. We've invited your coaches. Your dad and I had fun planning it. So we're going to start with the first slide. Is taking us back to Coach Brian Weitzman, who just arrived. Yay! This is the YMCA year of the Storm Chasers in 3rd grade. It's the first time that Henry tried kid pitching. And there he is on the mound. And if you look closely, some of you might know Mr. Weitzman's oldest son, Luke. Luke's the tallest one, not Henry. And to the right is Henry, and to the right of him is Evan Keller. So back in 3rd grade, we met the Kellers. Okay, so I'm going to ask Coach Brian just to come up here if he's willing and maybe share a story for you, Henry. And I don't know what that story's going to be, so this could be fun. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Betty. So I'm Brian Heitzman. I was volunteer YMCA coach years back when we were all a little bit smaller. It was those were some good days. It was a lot of fun back when baseball and kids were just kind of pure and innocent, and the kids were excited about learning about something new. And Henry was always one of those people that was always excited about learning. He showed up obviously with talent, but I enjoyed his enthusiasm. Our team that year, well, just to step back, so this was the first year for Kid Pitch, and for those that aren't aware what Kid Pitch is like at that age, it's difficult. It's difficult for the kids, it's difficult for the coaches, but particularly for spectators. The typical offensive approach is to go stand in the box and wait for 4 balls to be thrown, and then walk and take your base on balls, and then the ensuing pitch you would steal second, and then the next pitch you would steal third, and then wait for the imminent pass ball to steal home. So that's kind of how it went. You do that until you have the maximum runs, and then you switch out. Our team was a little bit different. We were fortunate we had 3 kids on the team that were capable of putting the ball close to the strike zone. So we did better than most, and certainly Henry had exceptional accuracy and consistency for somebody that age, which kind of set him apart even at that time. The thing is that not everybody had that accuracy, and so a lot of 10-year-olds were not near as consistent as Henry. So one of the drills, and this is just a quick story I wanted to tell, one of the drills we put together was to address the fact that kids were going to be throwing at these kids for the first time and maybe not very accurate, and so I thought it would be a good idea to teach them how to get hit by pitch. In retrospect, maybe that's a better drill for older kids, but we tried it out, and the idea being that there's a right way and a wrong way to get hit by the pitch. The right way would be to turn towards the towards the ball and let it hit kind of a soft spot on your back, as opposed to turning towards the ball like this and taking something in the face. I would say we had mixed results with the drill. I lined the kids up, and they would line up, and I would throw the balls at them. Let me step back. And they weren't actually balls. I took a ball of socks and would wrap it in Scotch tape, and so it was a soft ball. So we would throw the balls at the kids. Some of the kids kind of took to it. It sounds like Henry, it's my understanding from Betty that Henry kind of took to it and figured that out going forward. I had another kid that took one in the face. I thanked him for showing the other kids how not to do it, but unfortunately I couldn't get him back in the batter's box. But all in all, I thought we had a great year that year. I'd like to start out, I guess, kind of my final closing comments. I would like to say to the college and institution that's inheriting Henry, congratulations. That's fantastic. You're really fortunate to get a quality young man like that. To Henry, all the accolades, all the blessings, everything you get, you've earned them, you deserve them. God's blessings to you on your next chapter. Congratulations.
Before I bring up Bob and ask him to come up, I just want to really point out, Henry, Brian and I are just so fortunate that you've interacted with so many quality people in your life. These men have coached you, have become friends, and they've taught you, of course, the mechanics and the athletic part of it. But beyond that in baseball, which I love baseball, and I'm glad you picked a sport that I enjoy, but they're teaching you to be a young Christian man through their leadership, through their kindness, and I know you're learning this, and you've learned team support through the Maniacs and through the Wednesday nights, and you do have a bright future, and we're just so grateful for all these men that are going to come and speak, that they've been a part of your life, and I'm sure you feel that way. So I'm going to introduce Bob Wynn for our next slide. The next 4 years, I call them the Wonder Years. We had so much fun when Henry played at the Jewish Community Center. And the first 2 years, they called themselves the Devil Dogs. Here's Henry pitching. And then the next 2 years, for some reason, I guess they felt like they matured, and they changed their name to the Cyclones. And that's the next slide, is the Cyclones. But we were there for 4 years, and Bob coached the whole time. And most of these boys were from St. Thomas More. And I see a couple Cyclones over here that came. Yay! They're Devil Dogs. It's really sweet of you to come. Okay, Bob?
Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. I was thrilled to come and talk about Henry Hathhorn. I had the privilege of coaching Henry, as Ms. Hathhorn said, here for 4 years. And the couple of stories I have to tell real quick are kind of unique, and it wasn't a traditional joining of the team. And to put it in context, I had a group of boys that you see here on this team who, my son and his friends early on, they didn't have the competitiveness to play 3 and 2. They just didn't respond well to the drive and the intensity at that time. But my wife and I still wanted them to experience baseball because it's very important. It's an excellent game. So we came up and found a league over at the JCC, the Jewish Community Center, at the time, and it seemed to have what we needed. So I got this group of boys together, solicited some other help, some other coaches, just so the boys could experience baseball in its true form, have fun, and hopefully grow in talent. So for 2 years, I had a machine pitch. So this was without Henry. And so the group of boys, we had fun, they learned how to hit the ball, fundamentals, so on. So after 2 years of that, we moved into hit pitch, which I echo the comments of the previous coach, the fears from the coach of knowing what's about to happen with boys when they first start to pitch at that age, which is a little older than your experience here. But so I had a full team, and I got a call from one of the boys on the team, his father, said, I have a neighbor kid who really wants to play. And I'm like, wow, Brian, I got a full team. Well, he really played and he can pitch, so a little light bulb went off and said, okay, maybe, you never know. So Henry shows up to one of our second or third practices and get introduced. Okay, well, let's go see what you have. And after the first pitch, I looked at my assistant coach and I said, I think he can stay. Because he was throwing frozen ropes at that early age. And the next 4 years, I don't think it's any exaggeration that Henry was the most feared name in the league. Every team knew about him, who he was, and what he was going to do to them when he stood on the pitching rubber. Later on, we added some other folks. We brought in one of our other top pitchers who's down here in the front row, Hunter's Dave. So we developed along the way in those years, and we became pretty competitive and pretty good. So I jumped ahead 4 years. That was my first meeting with Henry. Now I go to the last game that I coached with these boys, and how we grew as a team, as friends, and colleagues, if you will, and talent. And we were pretty good, and we were undefeated in the championship game against a pretty good team. And we were actually losing by 1 run in the very last inning, bottom of the 7th inning. We're coming up. 2 quick strikeouts. The team was playing and was getting a little cocky. And then we come up to the top of the order. And my son was leadoff, who's in the front row, Kyle, as well. Walks. Number 2 batter, Tommy, walks. They pull off a double steal. And our 3rd batter coming up was Henry. And I know Betty was in the background going, please don't let my son make the last out of the championship game. So he probably doesn't remember this because I'm sure he was nervous. The talks he got real quick from our coaches. But what I remember I said, and Ryan, maybe you know what you said, I think you were on first base coach at that time, was, Henry, are you having fun? And I know you said yes, it may have been a reflex, but you were nervous. And I said, okay, we'll have fun. This pitch is a little wild, wait for your pitch and let's end this. And that's exactly what we were able to do, because Henry drives a line drive to right center field and we win the championship and go undefeated. And that was one of my experiences with Henry, one of many fun times we had over the 4 years. And I thank you for that. I think your passion for the game, everybody else fed off of, the other players, and someone who you're still friends with. So that's awesome. Most of the boys went to Rockhurst, and we came here, they kept in touch, and I think that's fantastic. But what also I learned about Henry was what he was like inside here. He's a great person, and that's my advice to you moving forward to the next level, which I always knew you would, was stay true to yourself in here, who you are, your heart, your talent, your passion for the game will stay the same, and it's going to take you places. I know it. And I told you a long time ago, when you're making it to the show and you're accepting your Cy Young Award, don't forget to mention your old coaches. You thank us when you're there. I know we always appreciate it. But good luck to you. And I knew you'd be here, and I'm glad you're local, so we can watch you play once in a while. So that's awesome. So congratulations.
Bob mentioned assistant coach Ryan Staves, who's another one of these great men in your lives and really helped you develop into who you are. God has just blessed you over and over and over, and our whole family. As Bob mentioned, the team that we were on, and you can go to the next slide. There they are, the Cyclones. All those boys were from St. Thomas. You're laughing. So they're ready to move on to high school. Henry was a year younger, so they all went off to high school. And Dr. Stella, I'll let you know, I tried to recruit every single one of those boys to come over to Leafin High that summer, but I think they all had Rockhurst DNA in them, and they went off to Rockhurst, and Henry didn't have a team. So he's entering his 8th grade year, and we realize how much he loves this.
They want to show him the height difference between the two.
Oh, Brian's pointing out that the previous slide, I don't know if you can go back, you can see where Henry was in height next to Bob on the 3rd photo. And then the next slide, we had some pretty fast growth. We caught up to him. But anyhow, so 7th grade, he didn't have a team to play with. Now he's in 8th grade. And we had to find something. And all this time we've been told that the 3-2 at Johnson County is like the mountaintop of baseball. And we didn't know if Henry was good enough to play there. He'd have to try out. I called 3-2 and said, do you have a team who could take one more kid? And that's how I got connected to Bram Heath. And Henry played with the Spartans. You can go to the next slide. And it was just 1 year with Coach Bram, but it was a really important, significant year with Bram. We played more baseball than we knew we would with 3-2, and Brandon introduced us to tournament play. And it was really an incredible time. So I don't know if we have any other Spartans here, but that was a fun year.
First of all, I want to start off, I didn't realize if he was signing 4-year contracts that I could have had him for more than the 1 year I had him. So, I wish I would have known. Secondly, I'm a little heartbroken because I thought I was the one who discovered him as the pitcher. I didn't realize that he came from a factory already. So, when Henry showed up to my team, we were a single A, double A type team. And if you know anything about tournament baseball, that's not the best of the baseball. It's not bad, but you have a mix of kids, and you're always looking for, we were like Spinal Tap, always looking for a drummer. We were always looking for a catcher. And like every coach said, I've got a full roster. He can pitch, bring him out. Because that's the truth. If you can pitch, it's the commodity. And if you're going to be 6'5" and 230 pounds, well, then you're a good commodity. I will say that I knew that when Betty called me to talk to me about the team that he was going to have support because she asked all the right questions. And I had to go to my team and say, you guys need to straighten up because we got a kid coming and I want to see what he can do because my kids were going to act goofy. Which, the first bit, am I wrong? They were goofy. We were goofy. One of our catchers was about half his height. And by halfway through the season, he was our best catcher because the other ones didn't try hard. You can't have a lazy catcher. That's one thing about baseball. So my story about Henry is when we started, I found out what did you guys play in the Jewish Community Center? 14, 18 games a year? Something like that? And you're probably throwing Henry every chance you got, like I did, every 5th day that I could throw him. But we played a lot of games. That summer, I think we played 40 or 50 games at least. And then we played fall ball. We played another 20 or 30 games. We played 3 of those games against the next coach who's going to come up here. We never won one, but we did play. Anyway, so we start off, and just Henry's stature is going to make him presence on the mound. Okay, he's big when he releases the ball. He's like feels like he's in the catcher's mitt when he releases the ball. He's so big, and because he's so big, and he's so mature, and you can have adult conversations with an 8th grader type person that you forget that you're talking to an 8th grader type person. And he got through his first couple starts for us fabulously, just like the other coaches said. Perfect delivery every time, on a rope, keeps the ball down, people can't hit it too far. 3rd or 4th game, he has a little bit of trouble. And I go out to talk to him. And I don't think I've had to go talk to him at all yet. So when I get out there to talk to him, I'm just ready to have a baseball conversation. You know, okay, here's what we're going to do. We got 1st and 2nd. We got 2 outs. What we want is a low pitch and a ground ball. Let's make it happen and go hit. And I get out there and I realize Henry's upset. And he's frustrated. And there was, and don't be mad at me, there was a tear in his eye. He was frustrated. This was a young man that was taking the next level up, like the other coaches said. He was facing a bit of resistance in what he was trying to do, and he was adjusting to it. I had to get shocked back into what I was supposed to be doing because I didn't expect this grown-sized man to be upset and having this conversation. So we talked our way through it. He finished his way through. We played 50 more games. We played fall ball. We get halfway through fall ball. And we're in a game where I've got to go talk to him on the mound. And I haven't had to talk to him a lot on the mound all season because he just gets the job done. And I go out there and I'm still cognizant of the fact that he's an 8th grader, right? Even though now we've played 55, 60 games. And I'm going out there and I'm going to kind of be, I think, not heavy-handed, but say, you know, give him the situation as it is and see how he reacts. Well, when I get out there, he's talking to the second baseman like this. He's got a runner on first. He wants to turn, the shortstop the shortstop like this. He's right here. He's and that's what he's doing. He's mumbling around. He's not happy. He's telling the shortstop, I'm going to get a ground ball. If I get it, I'm coming to you. You go to first. Let's get out of this. All right? And it's not really what I expected, given I haven't had to visit him too much. And one of the last times I ever visited him on the mound, he was upset. And now I turn to him and say, is everything all right? What's I say? Yeah, I'm going to get a ground ball and we're going to get out of this. I said, well, I guess I didn't even need to come out here. You've got this handled. He says, yeah, what's it going to do? I said, that guy's here never been on base. And that was it. So it just took about 50, 60 games. He probably pitched in about 15 to 20 of them. And he was a gruffly old baseball player. And that's probably my favorite story about him, was that how much he grew up in that one season. And now I'm going to have to get back into coaching because he signs longer than 1-year deals. So, Henry, I congratulate you. I hope I will get to see you. As you know, my son is down the road playing, and I know we play each other on occasions, so hopefully you don't get to pitch against us, but hopefully I come out and I get to see you play soon, okay? All right, and I want to thank Lutheran for having me come out. This was great. I appreciate you having us participate in this.
Thank you, Brian. Lots of good memories. The next slide is a little different because I wanted to remind Henry that he also learned a lot of baseball by being an umpire, which he did for several years. And I think it's kind of funny. You can see in the middle slide, that's Henry with his older brother Ben, who couldn't be here because he's away at college. So they umped together for several years at the Jewish Community Center. And the first slide, though, is what I think is funny, because that's Henry on the mound, probably 6th grade or so, and it's his brother who umped the game on the field. And so I was always grateful. That happened quite a few times. And I was always grateful that the person organizing umpiring days never put my son Ben behind the plate when Henry was umping, because if you're a mom, you know that car ride home wasn't going to go very well. So that was just a fun year. So then we come up to high school, and before I do that, you can bring up that slide again. I want to recognize a few people I see. Of course, all the Lutheran High kids are here supporting Henry. That's really nice, and some of you are baseball night kids. That's sweet. Our family members, of course, his dad's there, and Adam's here. That's Henry's oldest brother and his lovely wife, Grace, and they both are LHI alums of the class of 2011, right? 2011. And then Grace's wonderful father is here, Doug Horn. We consider him part of our family, and some of you might recognize Mr. Horn because he comes to Wintram every year and speaks at the government class. And he came to my Wintram too on Career Week and spoke. So thank you guys, of course, for being here. And we have some church members. So Henry, your church family has been very supportive of you for all these years, like your #1 fan club, and that's really sweet of you guys to come. I'm missing your friend Derek here, and I want to recognize Cody. Cody to us, Dr. Holman to everyone else, and this fits the next slide. So, Ian, when we entered the high school years, Henry really hasn't been able to contribute a whole lot to the Knights baseball seasons. So it's kind of funny that he's signing and he really hasn't played too much in high school. So he had a rough patch, growing really quickly, and I guess the bones weren't quite keeping up. And that resulted in us Henry needing a lot of physical therapy. And that's where we met Cody. And Cody is like one of the nicest young men who took a big interest in Henry and helped him for a couple years, right? We were in the PT office regularly. And Cody was just fabulous at teaching Henry how to learn about his body and to strengthen himself and prevent these injuries from happening. And finally the growth kind of leveled out, and I think we're past all that. And I know you still even text each other from time to time. Cody just checks in with Henry, and it's amazing. So Cody, we thank you very much for your help. Can you get to the next slide? And Ian, thank you for being here today to help us. So this is the high school for Henry. The top right-hand corner is 9th grade year, which we won't say much about that. Then 10th grade year, we had Coach Aaron come, and he couldn't be with us today. He's just a beloved Mr. Hinchis. We love him. His wife is expecting their first baby any minute, I think, so he needed to leave this afternoon. But Coach Aaron brought some fun back to baseball that year. Henry pretty much was sitting out the whole 2 seasons, but very much engaged in, I think, helping the other players with their pitching and first base coach, and he was just always there waiting to play and getting therapy from Cody to get strong. And then last season he was all ready and the team was having fun practicing and COVID hit, so that was a bummer. So we're looking forward to this season coming up for Lisbon High Knights. So that's the high school story. And then the next slide is going to bring in, I think Henry's just so fond of this young gentleman. This is Coach Nate Tinbrink. Henry has been so blessed to get to play with the Ravens, who then changed the name to the Maniacs. When we finished the 8th grade, Bram and I talked, and Bram recognized or told me, you know, Henry's got a skill set that he needs to move on, and he introduced us to Nate. And Nate's an MLB guy, right? He played a little bit, yeah. He's a wonderful man, wonderful coach. So those pictures happened this summer, just in July. Henry was pitching a game at Mid-America Nazarene, and that was a really good game. And I want to show you the next slide before I let Nate speak. The next slide, is the Maniacs. So this is Henry's summer ball, where he's really played the most. And I don't have a team picture. We have a tournament this weekend, don't we? Yeah. Okay, we gotta get a team picture. But this picture I really love. This was taken in June this past summer at Warrensburg, at University of Central Missouri Warrensburg. And Henry's on the mound, and a pitcher can only be as good as the people behind him and the catcher in front of him. And the Maniacs team is just an incredible team to watch. I love watching every one of your players. You've coached them so well. And your manager, Ray Medlock, is incredibly generous. So I'll hand this over to you.
Thanks for having me, Betty and Brian and Henry. Congratulations. It's been an honor getting to know you and watch you over these last 4 years. And my job was easy, guys, to be honest. The 3 coaches that spoke in front of me, they're the one who molded this young man into the pitcher he became. I kind of just sat along, went along with the ride. So I appreciate you guys' help in his progress. So. Like I said, I wasn't much to do with, you know, his mechanics or any of that. I helped him, you know, vision where he could be later in life. And really, the only funny story is, you know, Henry used to come into DBAT, and that's where I work now. And he would just come in and hit until his hands would bleed. And it just so happens, you know, those injuries did happen during that growth time, and you know, that's where I think I helped the most in his health and his progression as a young man. It's just helped him realize how to handle adversity, and that's a big word for me, because being a ball player for 28 years, I faced a lot of injuries myself, and surgeries and broken bones and torn muscles. So being able to pass along my life stories to him, I think has helped him along the way and helped him grow as a young man, and be very confident in what he's doing. And that's what it takes to be a good ball player. So really, Rosenbacher, I don't know if anybody knows what that movie is, but every time he used to come into the facility, I used to say that to him, even when he was on my team. Does anybody know what movie I'm referring to? No? Rookie of the Year? Baseball movie? Great movie. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. But you know, looking back on getting to know you through those times and the adversity, you know, little Henry Rosengardner faced in his movie career. He broke his arm and ended up coming back in the major leagues as a, I don't know, 12-year-old. Did you end up watching the movie? Nope. Still haven't watched the movie. Unbelievable. You got that movie? It's a good movie. But he ends up breaking his arm. He's a 12-year-old, and he goes and pitches in the major leagues, and it just comes around full circle, and it makes me smile getting to see him grow and see him pitch every other weekend. We play just about every other weekend now with COVID and everything. So Brandon said it best, you know, when he walks out to the mound, when I walk out to the mound, you don't gotta say much to Henry. You can see the fire in his eyes. And I think, with that passion, the adversity he's faced in his young career, he's got a very bright future ahead of him. He's gonna go really, really far. So, with that being said, just believe in yourself and stay healthy, and good things will happen, my friend. And you know, you can always call any of us. We're here for you. So, congratulations. Thank you, Betty. And Brian.
Okay, I think we're ready for the official signing. I thought of one thing I just want to share before I pass this back to Dan. Sorry. I think Paul Meyer gave this book to me years ago, Jesus is Calling. It's a daily devotional. Today's Henry's birthday, if you haven't heard yet. So he's 18 today. And after the signing, please stay. We've got cake. We'll sing happy birthday. We've got a candle that you can't blow. So we've got a fan here. You can blow the candle out that way because of COVID. I didn't want you to look. So please stay for cake and visit with Henry if you can. But this morning when I read the devotion for October 8th, I'll just read the first 2 lines because I thought it was so special. This is Jesus calling us. I love you with an everlasting love. The human mind cannot possibly comprehend my constancy of love for you. And I just think that's beautiful, and I want you to remember that as you go forward. Okay, that's all I have, so thank you, Dion.
All right, so this will be a little less formal than what we just had as a presentation. We're going to have, I think Ms. McKeska's here. I was going to look for whoever's taking official photos, and we're going to take one of the signing. And then past that point, we're going to allow the family and Henry to decide what other photos need to be taken for them. So we're going to get ours that we need, and then after that point. So we'll take direction, but it'll become a little less structured. You can get up and move around after we do that, but I just wanted to make sure you knew what was coming next. So I'll make sure that you're in place, and we'll do the first part where we get the signing, and then what other pictures we need up here, we can do those afterwards. So I thank you for everybody who came out, and as Betty said, there is going to be cake and other things for socializing as we get moving on these pictures as we're doing them. So thank you.
And then we'll sing happy birthday. Thank you. Okay. So, would you like to join in with your Kelly? Kelly, come on over here. Come on.
Just thank you to everyone, especially, obviously, my coaches. We couldn't have gone nearly this far without, Bob, I can't really see you right now, but the early years were, it was a big step up from YMCA to Jason. And a big step up with 3 and 2. And then again, just a whole nother level of competition. I think everyone can hear me, but so yeah, just thank you, Nate, Brandon, Bob, everyone, and everyone else that came out today. Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Henry. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, I just blow it out.
You gotta blow.
On the Lucas side.